everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net, May 22nd. This was posted on Microsoft's blog somewhere for developers. So the new Windows 10 20 update now has embedded in it Python. So I'll put this blog post in my blog. But I just want to talk about Microsoft. The Windows blows donkey balls. I despise it with all my energy. It lags. Mac is not much better anymore. I love Microsoft up until probably Windows 8, Windows 8.1 I liked, and then along came the forced update. Thanks Microsoft to Windows 10, and my problems and hate just started from there. Plus all the NSA stuff doesn't help me with all the potential backdoors. I don't know. Don't care. The telemetry is a big deal as well. So what has Microsoft done? They've enabled these to be embedded, I believe, in the store. Python pip idle. And you can get specific versions of Python 3, 3.7. I mean, it's very beneficial, no doubt. But what I'm here more to discuss is about, I think it looks like you have to download it from the store. But anyways, what's my take of why would Microsoft do this? I think two big reasons. Microsoft's future and presence has been very dependent upon Azure and Office. So we know the world uses Office. We'll never get around that. Office 365. I use Office Libre, so I'm not tied to any server or anything. It sits on my desktop for all my basic Office software needs like Word or Excel. So I live peacefully there. The other thing is with machine learning and Azure, as I'm sure with Amazon AWS, there's heavy competition between Microsoft and Amazon, but the big one that I think both are on the lookout for are Google. With Google trying to get out of their dependency on ad revenue as a company, they're trying to move into obviously other areas. So I'm sure Google came along and figured that their next best solution is to do what Amazon does, which is really their most profitable division in Amazon, which is the cloud service. So in order to get institutions or enterprises onto Google, I would imagine what they need to do really is to bring out some very cool, killer solutions from a software perspective. So here we sit talking about machine learning with the frameworks that they brought out, Tensor Flow, which is pretty good. It's still open source, so it's not really proprietary. And now the Google TensorFlow 2 is on its way. If you have not seen my video or post on Google Colab, which is really cool. I thought Visual Code was cool for Microsoft, but the thing is with Colab, you can actually, on any device that has a browser for mobile or for web, you can do all your development, testing, prototyping with it. And that's with Python. So Python's the big driver behind all this. Everybody knows that. All machine learning roads lead to Python, it seems, from what I've researched. So as a result, Microsoft's definitely feeling the heat with the .NET. Fewer and fewer people are wanting to work with .NET. I've tried to install .NET on this Mac, and I really don't want to deal with the stupid bloatware to get it running, which is about 4 or 5 gigs on top of the Visual Studio, I guess, for Mac. That is just, what a waste. And then you only can deploy it onto Azure. Because you can't run it locally. Maybe things have changed when I tried it, but at the end of the day, it was just not worth the pain just to run anything quote-unquote Microsoft or .NET. So that was one of the big reasons why I switched over to Python. I've not looked back, and it's a much easier language to work with. I mean, I've been developing, God, I want to talk about my age, but let's put it this way, it's quite a while. Oh, definitely more than 30 years, that's for sure. But I've seen them all. Microsoft was a cool kid on the block against Big Blue, IBM for many years. So Microsoft had its day, but they've turned into the horrid Big Blue now. And with all the just botches with Windows 10, it's just I think a lot of people are moving off of .NET, want to move into more open source stuff, less proprietary code, which Python's a big part of that, C++, and dare I even say Java somewhat. I mean, those are the top three most popular languages out there on top of C. So they're embeddable into pretty well any piece of hardware. Linux is built around really C and C++, and I think finally, Microsoft's feeling the heat from it. So they're starting to go, and it also helps with Satya Nadella as well, instead of the old dinosaurs that were running it like Bill Gates or Ballmer, where Satya Nadella at least figured out that, yeah, you need to go more open source. So they become a big contributor, which is a good thing. But there's always some weird tie back to the Microsoft. So I think they're feeling the heat from it. And to be honest, I think that's why they're starting to try to keep people on Windows, at least the developers. So therefore, they make it a lot easier to install Python, because it's such a predominant language now as the industry moves towards machine learning and frameworks built around it, specifically, dare I say again, Tensor Flow 2 with built-in Keras. I don't know if I got my pronunciations wrong. I apologize there. I'm no expert here. But that's how I see it, and it's all driven by Google, and I think both, at least Microsoft's trying to stay relevant. They'll stay relevant for a long time. They're so embedded in enterprises and whatnot. But the pace of the machine learning coming around, Google Colab, as well as the TPUs, the Tensor Flow processing units on their servers. One thing I did not mention about Colab, you don't have to worry about dependencies of running on things like NVIDIA and their framework or GPUs generally. That's all built in. It's all part of and hidden behind the Colab. So you just go out, upload your code, play with it. All the hardware's there ready to go to test on. They have somewhat a generous amount that you can run in terms of bandwidth that they allow, or transactional equivalent of bandwidth. So Microsoft and Google will definitely compete at that level. So that allowance, that threshold, will be beneficial for us developers as they compete on that. So you'll soon see that allowance, that threshold on what they allow for testing and maybe even production will eventually go up. Because I've talked to a couple of machine learning shops, and they way prefer Google and support with Google, believe it or not. But they are spending about $3,000 a month on it. I don't know if I would stick with AWS. I just don't like their billing practices. They're pretty brutal. Anyways, but that's that. And I just think that Microsoft's trying to just stay in relevant compared to what Google's banging out these days, especially with the TensorFlow and them really putting an emphasis on Python as the front end to build your models and simulations and whatnot. So it's pretty exciting. But this is definitely not hurting Microsoft to embed Python, but I thought I'd just break it out even further just to give you my opinion on why they're probably doing it. But I do think that Google, give it a year or so, or even 6 months, with TensorFlow becoming more mainstream with Keras in it, they'll own it. And I think AWS and Microsoft Azure will feel that over the long run. So we'll see. But machine learning is definitely the future. In terms of algorithmic, still trying to figure figure that out. But as it stands right now, this is where we're at, and just thought I'd offer this opinion. We shall talk to you later. Have a good day. and let me know by commenting below in this video. Thanks for all the comments yesterday concerning Craig Wright and his copyright on his Bitcoin. Good for him, but not good for the crypto space. But we'll see. I'll still be a bet man on Ethereum. But we'll soon see. Talk to you later. Have a good day.